Hello. How are you? Let's see if I'm live already. All right. So, okay, we should be. All right. Give me 1 second. How's your weekend so far? Right. Looks like I'm live. Hang on. Where's my live? Where's my live stream? Where's my live stream? Okay. There you go. No? It's weird. Okay. Right. Just want to make sure that I'm live. Where is it? I'm sorry. Yeah, still not quite used to this. All right, I'm live. Okay. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Ask Jason Anything About Meta Advertising. I go live every Sunday night. I used to fix it at 10 p.m., but it really doesn't matter now because I think the point is I'm going to go live every Sunday night anyway. So, and now it's about close to 11 o'clock Malaysia time, but it's still fine. Okay, so what we do here is I go live every Sunday night to answer questions that I receive from my community about meta advertising. So if you have any questions regarding meta advertising, the first thing I would like to recommend you to do is please go to my YouTube channel. I posted over 1,000 videos on mainly on the topics on meta advertising. So probably I've already answered some questions that you have that you're facing probably right now. So if you can find an answer, great. Move on to do what you can need to do next. Because meta advertising, you probably have got 1,000 things to tackle because there could be a lot of challenges along the way. But yeah, so if you cannot find an answer, don't worry about that. All you need to do is just post your question as a comment on any of my YouTube videos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over and answer your questions live. I'm going to screenshot. I'm going to show you a little bit, and I'm going to answer questions live over here. All right. So yeah, but just in case this is the first time you see me, my name is Jason. I'm a meta ads strategist from Malaysia. So what I've been doing since 2010 was I've been helping brands navigating meta advertising to help them find success. So if you have, let's say if you have been running ads and you can't really find a way to really like achieve good ROAS or good ROI with your meta advertising, or you have been advertising and you want to take it to the next level, but you can't really find, like a proven way or like a strategy to move up your spend because, say for example, if you have been spending $1,000 a day and been achieving certain good ROAS, doubling down the budget is not going to help you get double the revenue. So you need to have a different strategy when it comes to scaling. So that's what I help my clients to achieve. So if you need help navigating, I would actually recommend that you may. What I do is I help brands via one-on-one coaching. So you can either sign up for a one-off one-on-one session, or you can actually apply to have me to work with you. It's like a done with you program where I will work with you alongside with you to first we strategize the best strategy for your business, and then after that we set up the campaign together, we optimize the campaign together. So it's like a done with you program. So if you're interested to work with me in either way, you may find my link, whether to sign up for one-on-one or you actually apply for the coaching program. It's all on my YouTube channel. So all you need to do is just go to my YouTube channel in the description or the profile page. Should be able to find the links over there. All right. So let me bring this up. So this is Ask Jason Anything. So yeah, this is my face, edited by AI about a couple of years ago. Anyway, so yeah, what I do is, this is what I do. Every Sunday night, I go live for half an hour answering questions that I receive from my community. So like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to pop a question as a comment on any of my YouTube videos, and I'm going to bring it up like this. It's going to look like this. Like this I screenshot your question, and I'm going to answer questions live. Okay, over here. But just in case you need more urgent help, you say that, Jason, can you just come in and help me look at my settings, or can you help me analyze my campaign and see what went wrong, what did I do right, what did I do wrong, how can I take it to the next level. Scan this QR code, then you'll be able to book a one-on-one session with me and pay for it. And then we can have a quick discussion and see how we can fix your campaign or rectify whatever situations that you're facing right here in your Meta Ads campaign. Okay, so now let's go to the first question. It is coming from Surbi Data. So you're saying that you filed and appeared for the wrong business asset. The page was permanently restricted. Is there any way that you can be lifted after 3 years? The page quality and recommendation status is all good. What would be my final advice? Now, here's how it works, right? When it comes to permanent restriction, whether you have permanent restriction on your page, your ad account, or whatever, it's permanent. There's no way that it can be lifted. Nothing that I heard. I mean, I've never heard of anything that is permanently restricted can be lifted. So my best recommendation is to move on to do the next best thing. You see, when it comes to permanent restriction, it can be due to many reasons, but most common problem is Meta. Usually at one point, they will actually request for your ID verification. So if you, but the problem about this thing is the request for ID verification, it doesn't come to you in an email. The best part of it is it doesn't come to you as an email. I mean, it doesn't email you. Let's put it this way. It doesn't. I think they will actually send. Yeah, but the problem about Meta is that they send a lot of things and they probably go into your junk mail or whatever. It may not reach you. So that's the first problem. So a lot of ID verification requests went unnoticed. And there is a period where you need to get it done, usually within 30 days or less. So if you miss the deadline, it may go into permanent restriction and there's no way to reverse this thing. So if you ask me, my best recommendation is to move on and do everything from scratch again. Because here's the thing, when it comes to page, your situation is on page. When the page is restricted from advertising, you can still do everything, including messaging, including posting, including replying to your comment, or even whatever tagging or whatever. As long as the feature that is within the management of the community, the page management, you can still do whatever, but you just can't use it to run ads. So there are many situations if you want to do this. You can continue to grow the page, and then you use another new page to run ads. That's one of the things that some of my clients do. So what I would recommend here is let's not try to get it back anymore, but move on with business. Because to me, it's very simple. If you need to run ads, because you need to run ads, you need to use that to drive your business and all that. So I'll focus on let's get back into advertising as soon as we can. That's always my goal, my recommendation to my clients. So you can keep this and you start running ads with a new page. So when you grow along the way, like when a new page is getting more traction and all that, then you can consider whether one day, hopefully, you're able to merge these two pages together, and then you are able to run ads with maybe like a new merge identity moving forward, maybe. But the thing here is when it comes to merging page is that it has to be a bigger page merging with the smaller page. So you probably want to wait until one day your new page is bigger than your old page, then you can merge it. But the thing about managing two pages is very, very troublesome. So that's what I think. Yeah. But when it comes to permanent restriction, when it comes to navigating restriction, I understand there is a lot of frustration, but let's put it this way. My best advice is as long as it's permanent restriction, get started all over and then move on to do whatever we need to do. That's my best recommendation. All right. So just in case if you are facing restriction on your page, you're not sure what's happening, whether you're at a permanent restriction level or you are kind of like something that you need help with, you're not sure what's happening to your restriction situation and all that, you can scan this QR code and we can have a one-on-one over Zoom, and then we would actually see what's happening to your page or your ad account or your business portfolio. There are many, many reasons that can get a page or a business ads account or business portfolio restriction. I mean, we need to find out what's happening. And then usually, because I've helped a few hundred people navigating this since, a few years back. So that's probably something that I can help here is, according to a lot of my clients, I give better recommendation than the Meta Pro. First thing first, it's very difficult to reach Meta support. And then a lot of times they'll just give you some, let's be assured that we are on top of this thing. We just want to help. But a lot of times they don't really come back with a good solution or a good recommendation. So usually I would at least help you get started to advertising again, because that's what matters to a lot of business. So if you need help, scan this QR code and I look forward to work with you. All right, so that's the first question. Now, the second question is coming from Aaron. So, Aaron said, your account was permanently disabled after you submitted your ID, but your last name doesn't match the screen name on your Facebook because it's been changed. Can I help? Now, here's the thing. That's the problem when you have a Facebook page or Facebook profile that doesn't match your ID. You see, it's really important for you to get everything real on Meta nowadays, especially when it comes to running ads or running business and all that. You want to make sure that you have something that you can use to validate. But having said that, if you have problem with the best, like let's say your first name is not the same or the last name is not the same, you can still fight and you can still prove that this is like for me, Jason Gunn is not my name on my ID, but I can still say that this is my, this is my work name and this is whatever, and I still can get it verified. Usually you can still fight. But here's the thing, when it comes to permanent restriction, there is no way that you can get it back. So to me, my recommendation would be let's move on and start creating everything from scratch again. Yes, I know it's painful, but having said that, like if it's your page, everything you can still do whatever as the same. But the problem here is you won't be able to use it to run ads. To me, is we want to run ads with like an asset that we can build for the long term. That's why your situation, I'm not sure, Aaron, whether you have an ad account or your Facebook page or whatever. I assume that when you say account, it should be ad account. So when your ad account is restricted, don't bother to try to bring it back anymore. Or even now the question is whether your profile is restricted or not. You see, when it comes to ID verification, it may come back to your profile. So that's something that we need to figure out. So if it's a profile being restricted, then everything is gone, really gone. I've seen a lot of cases where your profile is gone. You won't be able to create a new page anymore. You won't be able to create an ad account anymore. You won't be able to create a lot of things. So we need to find out what level of restriction you have over there. That you have been permanently restricted from. So yeah, but if it's just the page or the ad account, even it's permanently restricted, you can still create new ad account or new business portfolio to go on. But the problem is if your profile is permanently restricted, you won't be able to do anything anymore. So if you can still do that, let's say if your profile is not permanently restricted, you can try to create a new business portfolio. That's usually what I would recommend my clients to do. Create a new business portfolio from there, and then after that, do everything in a really proper way that establish a good relationship with Meta. So create a new business portfolio, or now, some people still see it as business manager. Create one, and then create a new page in it, create an ad account in it, and then start running ads right away, and kind of really grow this thing in a proper way. And then and over time get it verified and all that to have really a proper management or proper relationship with Meta. Now, on the other hand, if you have your profile being permanently restricted, that's the end of the road. So what I would recommend you to do is to borrow an account from someone. Usually I would say whether it's your partner, your your business partner, your team member, or your parents, your family member, or whatnot. But make sure that your profile that you're borrowing is a profile that has been around for a while. You do not create a new profile and do everything. You may get restricted right away, because that's what Meta flag it as, probably spammy, whatever. So that's what Meta likes to do. So borrow someone else's profile. So use that profile to create a business manager. Follow the steps that I mentioned just now. Create a new business manager, create a page in it, create an ad account in it, and start running ads. And then brew it over there. And for you, if your profile is permanently restricted, you need to create a new profile. Now, when you create a new profile, it doesn't matter whether you have the same name, but make sure that this time around when you create a profile, it has the name that you can actually verify that you have an ID that's matching the name. That's the most important part. So create a profile, okay? And then after that, do something regular, like add some friends, do some posting, join some groups and all that. Brew it for at least 2 to 3 months. All right, brew the profile. So brew it for at least 2 to 3 months, and eventually, when you are more ready, at the same time, the page and the ad account that you borrow from your friend, to manage, it will be also brewing and all that. It will be more matured by then, and you can add your new profile into the business manager as an admin, and thereon you'll be able to manage everything as because you have a new profile now. Yeah, moving forward. And when you move over, when you go in as admin, when you manage it, you may get restricted. At one point, they probably will ask for your ID verification. Go through that, and everything will be fine moving forward. Yeah, so that's how we navigate restriction. It's not really rocket science, but it's really something that you have to be patient and you have to do the right thing at the right time. So yeah, that's my recommendation would be. But just in case you need help, if you have some page restriction, profile restriction, ad account restriction, you're not sure where are you and what kind of restriction you have and what can you do to navigate, like what are the things that you can do, what are the steps that you should take on top of whatever that I shared with you, you still have confusion, then you can scan this QR code to book a one-on-one Zoom call with me. What we would do is we would actually, you will share a screen, I would navigate, and we would actually see and really find out what really happened to your account, and we will try to fix it as much as we can. All right. So yeah, scan this QR code, and I look forward to work with you. Right. So those are the questions that I received from my audience this week. But I really want to talk about this question every time I have someone, I wouldn't say every time. So a lot of times when a person apply for my coaching program, they usually ask this question, which is, what is the best Meta Ads budget to start with? Here's my answer. Very straightforward. You start with something that you're comfortable with. All right, let's put it this way. If you're comfortable to spend, like $100 a day or $1,000 a day, go with it. But when I say comfortable means you have to be ready to part way with this money, and you understand that this is the money that you are investing in your business. I wouldn't say that you need to spend up to 100 or 1,000 a day, but if you have the appetite for it, go for it. But if you don't, actually you can start as low as $5 or $10 a day. It doesn't really matter, because a lot of people will say that, oh, I heard from someone that you have to spend big in order to get traction fast and all that. To me, it's very simple. If you can't get result with $10, what makes you think that you can get good result with $100 or $1,000? It doesn't make sense. To me, is you have to come in with an amount that you're comfortable to navigate and to experiment until you find a proven framework, and from there you'll be able to scale up and up and up. Because you need to know what worked for you first. So usually we start with maybe like $5 to $10, and then we run ads, we get a hang of it. What we need to find out here is we need to find out what's the, like an average cost per result or cost per conversion or whatever that you have over here. I mean, it depends on different business. If you're running lead gen, then your cost per conversion can be calculated in a different way, whereby you probably need to get like 100 leads in order to get, like 10 appointments, and out of 10 appointments, you get one sale. So technically your cost per conversion is your cost per lead times 100. So that's a different situation, but you can still calculate that way. So let's say cost per lead for 100 lead, after you calculate and all that, your margin can still cover your cost per result. Then that's a very good cost per result to start with. So then you can start thinking about, okay, now how can I actually take it to the next level? So when it comes to e-commerce, it's even more straightforward, right? What is your cost per purchase? So your cost per purchase is, let's say, $10, and you're making like, like a 50% margin, then you are definitely profitable. But if you do not, let's say, the amount you spend to get per purchase is not able to be covered by your margin, meaning, let's say your margin is 30%, which means, a person who buys $100 in products, you probably will earn $30. So if your each purchase is about $100 per purchase, you need to make sure that you're not spending more than $30 to get per purchase. You get what I mean? That's because that's 30%. But having said that, it's not really carved on the stone, because I've seen some clients who are comfortable to spend more on the front end, because their repeat sales can make up to all the margin that they need to make from the customer, because on the second time they purchase, you're not paying for the ads anymore. You just come back and buy, and eventually you make more money per customer. So you also need to take into consideration of your cost, your customer lifetime value. So yeah, there's no best answer for, like the best ads budget to start with. But to me is, start small, but you need to have your benchmark in mind. Right? So how do we have a benchmark in mind? The easiest way is to really understand your margin. So when I say margin, means like you need to understand how much do you really make, for each of your product. And you need to also calculate, usually you need to get a hang of like, how much is the cost per, as in like the, what do we call? The basket size. It's like when it comes to e-commerce, the basket size. So usually if a person buy $100, and if your margin is 30%, you know that you're paying you are comfortable to pay up to $30 per customer or per purchase. So that's how we do all these calculation. But yet it's on, like really we calculate backward. We need to know in our business, we calculate backward. When it comes to margin, you also need to calculate a lot of other things as well. Like if you hire someone to do ads for you, then you need to kind of like factor in the cost in as well. And if you hire a coach to help you, you also need to factor in. You need to also factor in the advertising cost as well and everything. So yeah, that's why I always recommend when you want to get started with advertising, you need to understand your business. Basically, you need to understand, like what is your appetite for advertising. But yeah, having said that, this is how we do the calculation. And back to a really basic, because a lot of people will feel that they need to spend big to get good result. To me, is no, spend at the level that you're comfortable. If you're comfortable with $30 a day, $50 a day, go for it. But you need to be ready that you need to spend this for at least 1 or 2 weeks in order to start seeing a pattern on what will be your cost per result on average, what will be the margin, what will be the basket size on average and all that. Then we figure out all these numbers, we put it on the paper, and we start calculating backward and say that, okay, now this is what we are looking at and how can we improve. To me, it's very simple. Running ads is actually the easiest part, but how do we optimize? So when it comes to optimization, there are many other things to look into. Let's say if you realize that your cost per result and everything is good, but your CTR is not that great, you probably want to consider testing new creative in order to improve the CTR. Or you can actually look at the entire customer journey. You realize that a lot of people who added to cart actually choose to drop. And then you convert very small amount of these people to purchase. Then you probably want to consider doing some different tweak in terms of your cart page, or you want to have some bundle, or you want to have a different retargeting campaign to tackle these people, to prompt them to buy. There are many, many ways to optimize a campaign. Eventually, you just need to find out what is happening to your entire campaign and how can we optimize it. So if you need help looking in your campaign to figure out what to do, I have 2 different kind of services. So first one is really a very straightforward one-on-one meta ad support. It's just a one-off that you can book, like whether it's 30 minutes or an hour. So what we would do is we would actually dive into your campaign and, we try to figure out and answer your questions and whatnot. And, so when we dive into your campaign, we do a few things. First, we build a plan on your ads manager. We draw all the metrics that you need to track. And then we build a dashboard in your ads manager. And then the next thing is I would, analyze the campaign with you. So eventually I'll help you understand what are the metrics that we should look into, how do we make sense of the metrics and all that, and stuff like that. And then after that, we will build a plan on what are the things that we can do, what are the steps that we can take in order to take your campaign to the next level. So this is one-off. Yeah, no string attached, so just scan whenever you need it, just scan and do a one-off. But if you need more like a done with you kind of help, whereby this is the monthly coaching program, what I do is I meet with my client once a week. So every week we will dive into your campaign. I will give you recommendations. We always start with a strategy building, meaning I will understand your business need. I will build a strategy, a plan for you. We will also talk about how much we need to spend, what will be the best budget to start with, answering a few questions about your margin and stuff like that. I can give you a number to get started with. And then after that, we run it. I will set up the campaign with you. I will also give you a recommendation about what kind of creative to use, what kind of audience targeting that we should be looking into, and then we build it together. And then once we build it right on a weekly basis, we will look into the numbers. This is where I help you get a hang of the metrics. Yeah, because to me, like I say, getting started with advertising is the easiest part. Understanding the numbers, knowing what to do is really something that you have to master over time and keep doing it. So this is how I help my clients really start getting with the campaigns up and running in a more optimum way. And then after that, optimize it along the way, do better and better about it and all that, and help you really master. To me, my coaching program is really to help you know your stuff and, to be able to do this on your own one day. So yeah, if that's something that you're looking for, then you can scan this QR code and we can have a quick chat to see whether we are a good fit to work together. If yes, let's go. If not, well, I'll point you to the best direction to go on what are the programs that you can look into. All right. So that's what I have on my plate today, but I've got some questions over here. Let me bring it up. So, Ana. So your question is, since October, you have a brand new Meta account, a new business account also. In your account, you have just an Advanced Plus sales campaign available. You can't figure out what campaign structure do you need to make. This is a very big question. When it comes to Advantage Plus, okay, now when it comes to sales campaign at the moment, Meta is now doing default Advantage Plus sales campaign. Now, it really depends. If like first we need to look at whether your business is a sales, like something that you can actually run a sales campaign for, which is you have to be an e-commerce business. If you're not, then you have to run leads campaign. Now, also, if you do lead campaign, it's also Advantage Plus lead campaign. Now, Advantage Plus is really the new norm now. Why? Because Meta has launched this thing called the Meta Andromeda. It's like a new ad retrieval engine where they promise they will be able to match the best ad to the audience intent in the most optimum way. So basically, they are encouraging us to go Advantage Plus, whether you are doing e-commerce or lead gen or even like app install campaign. Going Advantage Plus allow Meta to match your audience. But the structure is different right now. Let me talk a little bit. Let's say if you go for Advantage Plus sales campaign. Now, when it comes to Advantage Plus sales campaign, you need to understand how the ad retrieval system works, like the ad Andromeda. So how it works is that it actually requires us first to let's go Advantage Plus at all. That's what Meta wants us to do. And then after that, Meta is asking us to have more ads in per ad set. When we say more ads in an ad set means we have usually at the moment, the simplest way is like one campaign, one ad set, and many ads. When I say many ads, means you need to have at least 10 ads in it. 10 ads. My best client performance now we're having about like 30 over ads in one. So let's say if you put all the ads in one, what can you do about the ads? You need to have ads that targets different persona. You get what I mean? So what do you mean by different persona? Let me give you this example. Let's say if you sell kitchen appliances, all right? Let me tell you how Andromeda works, how powerful it is. If you sell kitchen appliances and you have a pool of ads in it, let's say if a mom posted something saying on Facebook saying, oh, I love to see how my son picks up baking and how fun he's doing all this in the kitchen right here. Now, when Meta knows that this is the mom and she's talking about her son, so if you have an ad features a young man using your product, Meta will show this ad to the mom and said, hey, this is the best gift for your young one. How it works. Now, on the other hand, if a father posted a story on Instagram saying that, oh, I love to see how my wife baking together with my daughter in the kitchen right here. Now, when Meta knows this is a guy and he's into family, so if you have an ad featuring happy family with all the laughing faces using your product, Meta is going to use this ad and show to this guy and say that, the best gift for your loved ones. So you need to have a different ads targeting different personas. So you really need to start thinking about what are the different people who might find your product useful and interesting. And you need to create ad for each and every one of them. That's how we get started. So yeah, but of course, this requires a different experiment and testing. But this is how we start thinking the direction of us creating the creative for this Andromeda era. So yeah, usually we start with that. Just start launching an ad, one campaign, one ad set. That's for top of funnel. And you still need to run retargeting. Now, when it comes to Advantage Plus, Meta claims that it takes over the retargeting as well. But to me I would still recommend to have a minimum budget running for retargeting. When I say retargeting, means you probably want to retarget for immediate, intent, like maybe 7 days retargeting or 14 days retargeting, just to make sure that you are appearing enough. Because when it comes to retargeting, frequency plays a very important role. You need to appear enough times for these people to remember you and really think about buying from you. So that's how we actually do that. So yeah, that's how you can actually, so that's the retargeting. We still have top of funnel and retargeting, but the structure is slightly different. So because now we have a new structure, the way we analyze and optimize the campaign is no longer the same. Like back then, we usually pay a lot of attention on like whether this ad is doing good or not. And like if it's not doing good, then we probably want to retire it. Yes, we still do that kind of optimization, but we probably look at it in the bigger picture right now. Because sometimes, some ads, we may not have that many so-called audience. Like let's say, for example, like the example that I gave, usually the mom or, would actually use more. But if you have talking about men, talking about family, it may not have that many men that are into it. But when there is an opportunity, you want to have an ad in there to capture that intent, right? So we usually just allow the ad in it, we just let it run. And hopefully we can actually, the ad will be there when we need it to feature or to show to the audience when it's available. So that's how we plan, basically this is how we plan the campaign structure in the Andromeda era. So yeah, so that's how I would actually look into it on how to structure the campaign structure in this era. So you come back and say that you sell a digital product for women. The issue is you don't have any other options to set up the campaign. Because if you go for, I really can't really give you a best recommendation because I need to look at your ads manager to give you recommendation. So if you need help, just a quick one. If you need help, whether to like to understand what are the best strategy that you can build for your campaign, or navigating the ads manager. If you need help, you can actually scan this QR code to book a one-on-one Zoom call with me, and we can look into your ads manager, we can look into your campaign, we can look into whatever, and I'll be able to give you more personalized recommendation, because as you know that you won't be able to share a screen, and I won't be able to actually do one-on-one over here. So if you need help, yeah, this will be the best way for us to get started, to look into whatever situation, and to help you probably get started in a more optimum way, like effective way to get started on advertising. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. It's 30 minutes on the dot. Wow, this is great. All right. So yeah, so this is what we do. Every Sunday night, we go live to answer your questions. If you have any questions, pop your question on any of my videos or as a comment. I'm going to capture that and answer your questions here, or you can join me live over here and ask your question. Yeah, but in case you need something more urgent help, scan this QR code. You can book a one-on-one Zoom call with me to tackle whatever challenges that you're facing right now when it comes to meta advertising. And I look forward to work with you. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one. I'll see you next week. Good night. Bye.